Welcome back to the hockey guys. We got 3 out of the 4 guys back behind the microphones this morning. Doc, Phil, Dean Wilson, I am the wise one. Eddie is attending the funeral of Emma Christian up in Warroad, Minnesota, the lovely wife of Gordon Christian, this morning at 10 a.m. And Eddie wanted to be here today because we have a guest coming up at 9:30. One of the most prominent guests that we have had. I don't know if I should say that to offend others, but we've got a good hockey coach, a good professional coach, a good professional hockey player, a wonderful college player, David Tippett, in the Hall of Fame now at the University of North Dakota. If anybody has any questions, what is it? 293-1000 something?
9,000.
293-9000. It's written here someplace, but I don't have it. Doc, Phil, good morning. Full slate of games last night.
Absolutely. A few upsets.
Wills, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good to see you, Dr. Phil.
Hey, good.
How's the fly fishing going in summer? Kicking it?
Good. Very good.
What's your biggest hogger? Biggest hogger?
22-inch brown.
Wow.
You see those fake pictures of Wills catching that muskie this summer?
No, the walleyes the other day. Those were
walleyes. Yeah, you're getting quite.
Slabs.
I've taught you well, haven't I?
I don't know how I do it and how you taught me. I don't understand that either.
It's the jumping in the lake to refresh yourself.
Stop
completely
it.
naked. That's the trick, Wills.
Hey, how about last night, though? Let's get right into it. BC rolls over Michigan State at East Lansing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what do you think's going on there?
Oh, I think BC's going to be the number 1 team. I really do. They've got the players. They've got the coaching staff. I think they'll be right back there in April.
Well, they're picked 1 and 2, but a couple, I think, top draft choices, 1 and 2.
Right.
And then, I hate throwing it out so soon, and you said something good earlier before we got on air, Dr. Phil, is that I talked about parity. And is the beginning of the season different where, you get a lot of more guys auditioning to maybe shorten your bench as the season progresses?
Right.
I look, Michigan State's got a great coach. And I'm not saying Boston doesn't. I mean, they're loaded with talent and leadership.
And it's early. I mean, it's early. But, I mean, that's a statement. And it's like, wow. I mean, not only did they win, but they shut them out.
And I'm curious whether or not Michigan just rolled 5 lines like North Dakota did against Augustana. Their top players playing 2, maybe 3 shifts a period.
I would doubt that. I mean, this is a big game for them. This is a statement.
I would agree.
Against Boston College. I wouldn't think they would have probably done that. I think they came out trying to win. I mean, going, hey, this is where we need to be, and we need to be competitive with these guys. And obviously, for whatever reason, they weren't. But
I think the big reason, Phil, is to make sure that all those top draft picks, top players, when they look to decide whether they should go to a Michigan school or a Boston school, they're going to pick the, quote, better team, better program, and that could be the statement they were
and more money.
Yeah.
We're getting to that point where now it's going to be more money.
Name, image, likeness, money.
It's going to ruin sports, I think. But it's just the way they've done it. I don't know if there is a right way, but it just doesn't seem like it's going great.
I think it's just over the top. I don't disagree they should get some type of stipend.
Right.
But these stipends are like a pro player already.
Well, Caitlin Clark was making $1 million a year. I mean, obviously she's the best.
And she's
basketball player.
She's worth it,
And she's packing the arena every night,
Yeah, she's selling tickets.
But there's got to be a limit here somewhere.
I agree. It's just a lot of cash. I mean, you go down to the southern schools with football, right?
Right.
you're the quarterback starting for Alabama, making $1.2 million. You're my roommate. You're buying at the Red Pepper tonight.
You're buying the red pepper.
You're buying the Red Pepper and moving it to our dorm.
Hey, just think this, Wilson. If you were still, let's say you were in one of the big schools playing football, and with the COVID year, your freshman year being redshirted, you were sick one year. I mean, you could look at the money you could be making right now as an 8th-year player.
Well, I can't wrap my brain around it. I mean, Dr. Phil, would you get your doctorate in 7 years? And I can't wrap my brain around. It took me 4.5 years. I wasn't the sharpest spoon in the drawer, maybe, but but these guys, 7th-year seniors and stuff. I go, wow, that's a long car ride.
That Cam Rising for Utah last night, quarterback. It's like his 7th year.
I don't get it.
He's making his pro contract right now, isn't he?
Right.
Hey, let's talk one more score last night. Arizona State's now in the NCHC. Great. I love that. We're going to see a lot of fans jumping on planes, going down for a nice winter vacation down in Arizona. But Michigan, 4-1 over Arizona. So Arizona's stuck with Michigan. Michigan's going to be one of those perennial teams. And then the score that I thought was really interesting for a lot of different reasons is you have the Gophers, Minnesota Gophers over Air Force 7-1. Here's the thing. I was, Wilson, you called me. Where was I this morning? You're worried about whether it was going to show up or not, right? Well, I was up at 5 a.m. doing my homework, right? All right. Minnesota had a goalie, Nathan Airy, sophomore. Where's he from? British Columbia. Okay.
Oh.
Sophomore. New goalie behind the net. Matthew Woods, 3 assists last night. British Columbia transfer from UConn.
Now, are they true British Columbians?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They didn't just play up at the BCHL or whatever.
Yeah, and
Of course they are, Phil.
and your good buddy, Darby Hendrickson. His son Beckett scored last night.
Wow.
And then Connor Kurth. Connor Kurth pulled up a nice hat trick last night. And Sam Rezal, the big, huge defenseman, sophomore, had a goal last night. Jimmy Stuggerud, 1 assist. Jimmy Clark had 2 assists. And Oliver had 2 assists himself. So, they were playing a lot of players last night against the Air Force like they should. But it was just interesting. You would think Snuggerud, you would think Oliver, you would think Jimmy Clark, you'd be looking at all of those top players putting the puck in the net. But no, it was some of the other players.
Well, but you probably have to put that in context. How much did those – do we know what the ice time was? I mean, because Bob may have been playing, as things got going, he may have been playing that 3rd and 4th line.
That's true, too.
Yeah, Beckett was on the 5th line. They were playing 5 lines.
Yeah, just seeing what they could do and resting the, you don't want to get your elite players all banged up right off the chute.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of circling back to the Air Force, though. Poor territory. I mean, they're averaging 7 goals against. Last week they got tagged, too. So, but, I'll talk a little bit down the road about what Brad Berry said about tidying up in their zone.
Yep.
And we want to thank Valley Imports. Is this the main presenting sponsor for our show this year? Is Valley Imports Pre-Owned, the best price leader in the region. Find your next vehicle at valleyimports.com. Don't forget, we got Dave Tippett coming up at 9:30. If you have any questions, Wills, what's the number? 293-9000. Let's hear from you. We'll be back with more hockey talk right after a word from our teammates. Good job, Addison. We want to rock the music. We're sitting in the locker room. We're taking our skates off. We're shooting the bull, talking about hockey, and that's what we love to do.
Not anymore. Everybody has all their own headphones now. You don't get that anymore. I was
Really?
so surprised. Yeah.
Do they?
Go into the locker room. Yeah, everybody's got their own deal.
They're all
What? No
Your
more.
own headphones.
No more cassettes. 8 tracks. What the heck?
Nope.
8-track cassettes and radio. Who's the singer of that?
Is it Michael Jackson?
No. Hey, can you imagine if Coach Blaze walked in the locker room, end of the second period, they're tied going into a national championship game, and the 20 players in the locker room all have their headsets on?
Well, during the game, I don't know if they do that, but pregame.
But
Or if they lost the
classic.
game and he walked in, they all had their headsets on.
Yeah.
I think you'd go one by one and throw them all in the garbage can.
But here's another one: the bus trips, right? We'd all be on the back playing cards. I don't know if it's legal or not, but we were all playing cards. We didn't have headphones.
Depends what state you're in.
Well,
Okay.
whether you're north of the border or not. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Do we have any teams in Vegas we could play?
Hey, one score we didn't get to was
Yeah.
the Lindenwood, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So what do you think was going on there? Because Lindenwood was the visiting team. I mean, do you think Mike was just rolling a bunch of people or not? Because
Well, our friend Rick Zombo was terminated from head coaching position last year.
right? But
Have a new coach.
he was into some Hall of Fame down there.
Yeah, the St. Louis Hall of Fame,
Hockey
Hockey Hall of Fame. Got a nice picture of his wife and his kids. Yeah.
that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was. But that was really surprising.
Yeah,
4-1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That
or 4-2, I think. But anyway,
yeah.
it was a loss. It's like, whoa, okay,
Well, is that the same thing as Augustana beating North Dakota?
yeah,
That's
possibly.
or Michigan beating Arizona State.
yeah.
No, I'm just joking about that. The Michigan schools, the Boston schools, North Dakota, Denver. I think again, as everyone's concern was, the rich get richer, right? And I think they're going to be there at the end. Again, I'll say this: they need to increase the length or the number of teams in the NCAA playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. They're doing it for football, and they can that first round. If they start with 24, they can get rid of 12 teams just on a weekend, and they only expanded one weekend. Why not?
It'll all revert around
Cash flow.
Yeah.
And that's the cash
if
flow.
they can make it really go, having these tournaments back on campus, which I think they will, and if the NCAA makes money off of it, they're going to probably look at it and go, okay, let's open it up a little more.
Well, we talked about it last week. It was just like regionals. I think Fargo's going to get, and I can't remember the exact year, 25, 26.
This year and 26 and 27, I think. They get 2 years in a row.
Isn't the Shields Arena the best place for a regional?
Yeah.
I
Like
love it.
everybody goes out for them.
Yeah. Perfect seating. I mean,
Yeah,
just the right number of seats.
Yeah, 5,000 plus or whatever, but really tight in there. But it's packed. It's a great
But we
venue.
all know they would fill the Ralph, too. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
no
it's-
doubt about it.
They
For
would,
sure.
but there's something about the Shields Arena, the tightness of it, how loud that can be. You remember, I go back, you remember when the USA Hockey U15s, I think, were playing in their world tournament here?
What's the under 18s?
Were they the under 18s?
Yep, 2009.
And they were playing Canada, they were playing Russia, and everyone was chanting USA, USA. Oh, that was just young kids. Now that you see the names playing in the National Hockey League,
Yep.
it's just, man, that was fun. I would hope USA Hockey would come back and have something here. Even an old man's tournament, right,
well,
Wills?
Remember, it's not up to USA Hockey. It's up to people making a bid. Again, it's all about the money.
Exactly.
So, they had a good setup. And go back and remember, that was the flood year. And I'll tell you what.
There was a lot of emotions.
I was in the middle of a lot of negotiations like, can we do it? Are we going to be able to do it? Because remember, the infrastructure with water and everything that you need, not only at the Shields Arena, but the Moorhead Arena. And so you have 2 arenas going.
Right.
Are they going to be able to handle the laundry? Are they be able to handle all the ice resurfacing? And we had a lot of discussions. I'll tell you, there was an alternative plan to move it to St. Cloud.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a crazy year.
Yeah, it was nuts. And the guys, all the teams, put some time in on the sandbag line, and I mean, it was pretty emotional, but it was nip and tuck. I mean, there was the possibility it wasn't going to happen.
We needed that for our community, wasn't it?
I think it really helped bring people together.
Well, I remember Mayor Wallaker, I talked to him once, and they were making decisions quick about 4 lanes leaving the city to Fergus Falls and Valley City out of us to evacuate our people.
Yep.
Thank goodness the mayor had the balls to say, no, we're not doing that, because if so, we're going to lose our country, or lose our city.
Yeah, well, it was tight because we saw up north of us.
Yeah.
Hey, big game for North Dakota tonight. Providence. That's going to be a battle, right?
Yeah. And it'll be fun to see Nate because he's such a good coach. He coached us with the gold medal team in Edmonton in 2021, and just an all-around great guy. He reminds me a little bit of Brownie. He's one of those guys that's very tactical, but very easy to get along with. He lets you know when it's time to step it up, but he also gives you a little slack and lets you play when he knows what your ability is. So he's just a really good coach. It'll be fun to see him again. I haven't seen him for a couple of years.
Yeah, and then they have the video replay coach who we had on our show a few years ago. Yeah. So, I mean, they've got a heck of a good program. Boy, there's a lot of good programs. Bemidji lost last night to St. Cloud State. 3-4. That was a heck of a game.
Was that overtime? I think that was overtime, wasn't it?
Nope, that was the final at the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center in St. Cloud. Duluth over Lowell. It's good that Sandy started off with the win. Last year was a huge struggle for them, weren't they?
And Western pounded Ferris. I was kind of surprised about that. I thought Ferris would give them a little more of a go, but maybe Western's that strong. That's.
The one score I didn't like was St. Thomas 5, Vermont 5. St. Thomas coming in next year. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, again, it's just exhibition games. But
St. Thomas going to the CCHA?
No, they are in the CCHA. They've been invited into the NCHC. Okay. And next year they're coming in.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I'd like to switch gears just a tad. Just give a little shout out to the women's hockey. The preseason ratings, Wisconsin's always there, Minnesota, Duluth 3, Ohio State, Clarkson 5. St. Cloud's number 11. I got to give Brian a shout out all the time too. But those scores last night, Ohio State 4-3 against Minnesota, the women's. We got Colgate 5-1 over RIT. And St. Cloud 1-0 over Bemidji. But I got to give I got 4 daughters. My daughters go, you got to talk a little bit about women's too, Dad. But
we need to talk about women's college more.
But you know what?
We have to make an intentional.
If Duluth can field a team, why can't North Dakota? I mean,
that bothers me.
There's got to be a way to make that work. They're just
add a few more bucks to the
pot.
To the men's season hockey tickets, everyone will buy them anyway. If there is a way, if they wanted it, but I think it was an administration power play to say we're in control of all of the hockey, including you guys and the Inglesteads. Just so you know, we run this university. I think it was a power play, and that's what it is. And
I
it's
think
unfortunate.
There was financial stuff in there too. I know, but still, you might be right.
The financials could have been taken care of.
Right.
Just sit down if we're sitting behind the mics this morning, there's a will, there's a way, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. I think so. Hey, you guys sitting down for this one. I don't know if it's fake news or real news, but I've always liked them. Come Back by Grapes, Don Cherry.
Yay.
That he's going to be coming back to the fans in the NHL season 24-25. The only reason I throw out that, and help me out here, Jeff, because you're a lawyer, he made comments. He didn't hold anything back. He makes comments that are not politically correct, but don't every politician do that nowadays? I mean, he got gassed because he made not good comments Is it politically acceptable today that maybe they're getting it back? I don't know, but I just he called it straight up, and there was no holding back. If you're dogging it, you make $1 million, you better pull your socks up and start playing like it.
That was most of the reason why I watched Hockey Night in Canada.
Hey,
Don
we grew up
Don
with
McLean and Don Cherry.
We grew up with Don Cherry.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you what. I tell you what, Hockey Night in Canada, that's a production, and you got to stay within your lane and not make any moves. Hey, we're going to be back with Coach Dave Tippett, 11 years in the National Hockey League, 17 years coaching in the National Hockey League. You have to stay tuned. It's going to be an exciting discussion. We'll be right back.
We got to take it to the next level somehow.
Welcome back to the Hockey Guys. We have a legend that we get a chance to visit with.
Quit talking about yourself.
Sorry about that, Doc Phil. But a legend, David Tippett. I don't know if we should refer to him as Coach Tippett, Player Tippett, Hall of Famer Tippett. David, good morning.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Say we got Doc Phil, Dean Wilson here. Eddie, I think I sent you a text. He's off to Emma Christian's funeral, and the wife of Gordy Christian passed away, so he's up in War Road.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that, yeah.
So are you fully retired, or are you going to have some NHL team midseason say, Coach Tippett, we want you to come back for your 18th season as head coach of the National Hockey League?
I'm from the coaching part, I'm retired. I still I do some consulting for the Seattle Kraken, just do some consulting with their coaches there. But as far as staying on the schedule and coaching and going through the rigors of an NHL schedule, those days are in the past for me.
You know, you were up in North Dakota recently, inducted in the North Dakota Hall of Fame. That's quite an honor.
Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great honor. Great to see a lot of people I haven't seen for a long time. A bunch of old teammates came back, and we actually spent a couple days at my lake house down in out by Detroit Lakes there, and Dean Decision, Kerry Eads, Phil Sykes, Dusty Carroll all came down. We played a little golf and then went into Grand Forks for the weekend and had a great weekend there. So it was great to see everybody. Very humbled by the Hall of Fame induction. That was very nice, but brought back great memories of, and you know, Jeff, the great memories of those days in North Dakota. We had some pretty good teams there.
Oh, yeah, the players you mentioned, that was my freshman year. That was some characters. The only bad part of you guys going back now this year in 2024 is all the bars that we went to when we were kids are all closed up and changed now.
Yeah, I'm not much of a bar guy anymore, much as I was back then. But you're right. But you know, it's still, for me, it's about the people back there, and I'm always interested to go back and see how the university's changed and different buildings, and seeing the Walsh Hall is gone was a little disappointing. But
yeah,
but,
your room. You were with Patrick, weren't you?
James Patrick, yeah. We, I remember we still laugh about the only hockey game you could get on TV was on USA Network, and we had a guy help us string a cable up to the top of that roof, and we had cable in our room. I think
I thought this is Wilson here. Yeah, this is Wilson.
We were diehard hockey fans back then.
Yeah, this is Wilson here too. I was a couple years older than you guys. I was in 23A Walsh Hall, across from Bill Himmelwright and Mark Chorney, but we thought we were bad too. We had the cable hooked up in our room too.
Hey, you guys missed it. You had to go to Frenchie's. Got to go to Frenchie's and watch Hockey Night in Canada.
Say, I have Dave. I've got a question. Yeah, you played against Gretzky, is that right?
Yeah, I played against Wayne for a long time, and then I took over Arizona when he had left. So he was also when I coached in Edmonton. He's worked on our with our team. He was an advisor for the owner. So I spent a bunch of time with Wayne, and I chased him around a lot of times, trying to see if I could stop him from scoring a million points on us. So. Yeah, I know Wayne well.
Here's the question: between compare and contrast, Gretzky versus McDavid, because you had a chance to coach McDavid for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, even Wayne himself is amazed at what Connor can do. His skating, his stick work, his just the speed that he does everything at is just incredible, and. It's, you know, I was fortunate, like you say, to know Wayne, play against Wayne. I played with Mario Lemieux in Pittsburgh and coached Connor for 3 years, and it is incredible what he's doing. Now, the game has changed. The equipment has changed. Sticks have changed. You know, that's changed. But even Wayne said if Connor was playing at the level he's playing at right now, back when Wayne played, he would be right there with, you know, 220 points or 212 points, whatever Wayne got. So he's a phenomenal athlete, a very good person, kind of shy around the media, but a very good person. And I'm hoping he gets a cup someday. He needs a cup, but from Wayne's perspective, Wayne looks at it too and says this guy could be the most talented player that's ever played the game.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the speed. Dr. Phil, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Dave, just again, congratulations. It was great to see you at the Hall of Fame with your wife Wendy, and it was fun to meet
Yeah.
you. And I've got a couple questions, and I think a lot of people maybe understand this, maybe not, but I think you were responsible for putting that lineup together in Edmonton, if I'm not correct. I mean, most of those guys were your guys that made it to the final, and I think you deserve a little respect and a little kudos for that as well, because you had them rolling that year before the coaching change, and so I think that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. I think you were there and put the pieces in place, and then they finally fell together and came together as a team when they made their run last year.
Well, it was interesting how it happened. I was kind of thinking I was going to retire from hockey, or retire from the coaching spot, and I was working for Seattle. I helped bring the expansion team to Seattle, and then Ken Holland phoned me when he took the general manager job in Edmonton and said, "Look, things are kind of down here. Would you come in and help me clean this thing up?" So I went there, and went there, and we got off to a good start the first year, and then the pandemic hit. So
right.
The pandemic was, we had breaks, and then we had the Canadian division, and so it was hard. But what we did was, there was that core group of players. There's McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins, Darnell Nurse, just a real good core group of players that, they have a real burning desire to win. So they, as they've matured and come along, I think there's some good lessons there that they're starting to learn, and I think they'll be contenders again this year.
Yeah.
The guy that really helped it along was Ken Holland, because he added some defensemen there. The big fella from Nashville last year. They've got the core, a really good core. Now, if they can get young Skinner to come along and be a real good player for them, they've got a chance. You can't have that many good players and not have a chance to win. So I was lucky enough to be around that group. Like I say, they're all not just good players, but they're really driven players. So hopefully they get a chance to win a cup this year again. They were close last year, get to Game 7, and hopefully those lessons take them a long way this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave Tippett, you look at the number of players jumping into the National Hockey League now compared to back when we played college, jumping into the National Hockey League. The advent of college players is I think like 25-30% now in the National Hockey League. How have you seen the college players develop into pro players compared to the players coming out of Canada, the Tier 1 teams, or over in Europe?
Well, yeah. Well, I think the college way to go is very good for young players, because there's some players that obviously they're stars at young age and they play junior and they go right to the NHL. But I think the experience and just the maturity that you gain from going to the National Hockey, or going to college and then towards the National Hockey League, is invaluable. And I just look at the way I was never drafted. I went to North Dakota. I could score a lot as a junior player in Saskatchewan Junior League, and you think you're a pretty good player, but until you get to college where you learn how to work out, you learn how to play the game defensively, there's all the practice time and the workout, and just the way that college players are treated really matures you. And I think there's been a lot of players miss out on a longer NHL career or longer pro career because they didn't go to college. They go to play junior teams, and then they peter out after 20, and they don't think that they can get there. College gives you a little more time and a little more maturity, and there's a lot of players at that age, 18, 19 years old. They're not ready to move up, get out and play a pro game. But it gives you a couple more years. And like me, I was fortunate enough to played 2 years in North Dakota and then had an Olympic year. But I would never have made it if I stayed in junior hockey and just at 20 years old had to make that decision. I would have never had to been able to make that step. So I think you're seeing more players that are recognizing. They just recognize that the college way to go is not only do you get a good schooling and those things are things that help you down the line. It gives yourself a chance to grow as a human being and a person and get stronger. And you never know, it might turn into something down the road.
People develop differently, physically, mentally, stronger. Yeah. And that you're right. That extra time gives you that ability. We got 1 minute left. Go ahead, Coach.
Dean Wilson again. One quick question for you. Jessica Campbell with the Kraken, first woman. I read her bio. Yeah. Amazing. What's your thoughts?
30 seconds, Coach Tippett.
Well, you know what? I was out there for a day in training camp with the Kraken last week, and she's an amazing, amazing young lady. Very knowledgeable, very respectful of players, and she's going to do a great job.
Well, Dave Tippett, thank you for getting up early in Arizona, joining us this morning. We'd love to get you on later this season and talk more about your career. And I have to mention the Jack Adams Award as the top NHL Coach of the Year. That's a select group. Wow, David, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it. All right. Take care, guys. Great to catch up.
Absolutely. You too.
Should I stay or should I go?
Okay, what's the prediction for tonight up north? What do you think?
You know,
Start of the season, start of the
Wills,
regular
you
season.
go right now.
I'm going to go 3-1 UND.
Oh. I'm going 3-2 UND in a shootout.
Wow.
Boy, I think you, Doc Phil, I think you're there. I think North Dakota, after getting that loss last week,
I bet it was a tough week of practice.
I think it's so. I think it's going to be 4-1
Well,
or 4-2 North Dakota with Province picking up a goal late to make it a 4-2 game.
well, you know, I
think it's going to be a different game.
Oh, absolutely. It will.
Well, Brad Barry said that's in there, you know, because I thought 4-0, is it goaltending, whatever, and he goes, we need to tidy up a lot better in our end, and that's a polite way of saying,
yeah,
we got to do better D and forwards of playing good defensive zone coverage and take away those rebound opportunities.
Yep. And he schooled them all week, so they'll be ready.
100%.
Well, Eddie's not here, so I got to do Eddie's job. We got to thank Gateway Chevrolet, Citywide Electric, Ham's Beer, Beverage Wholesalers for being the period sponsors. So thank you very much. And our other teammates that you heard throughout the show, thank you. Thank you. I had invited John Halstenson on because Eddie wasn't here. John, Fargo North player, played college, but he was out moose hunting and trying to call in an elk hunting in Montana.
Oh.
Yeah, he should brought you along, Wills. With
Well,
some,
easy now, easy now. Yeah, my cousins wanted to put a hide on me and have me call in some moose. They actually got a big bull moose up in Dryden, Ontario. You know, and they just bow hunt. They're like, you know, you see that movie Alive or whatever, or Alone. They live it every day. Shout out to the guys at the Twins Lake Deer Camp. Carl said they're waterfalling it. You know, if they're up yet, they're probably still sleeping, those guys. You know, I'm the young guy at 65. The rest of them are like 103 and 2. They don't move too far away from the fireplace.
But the big flock's got to still be up north in Canada. I mean, it's been so nice here.
I don't think they're moving. You know, I got Western guys.
Just the pets are flying around, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got my buddy Jake from Jamestown. You know, they go bird hunting. You know, I don't know. I mean, he couldn't.
It's just local ducks for now.
Yeah, he couldn't hit a shovel with a garage side of a garage.
You know, the tough part of having guests like Dave Tippett on is you're sitting around thinking, boy, I wish I would have asked this, would have asked that.
But that's the beauty of it. Then we can call them back.
Yeah,
you know?
and then we get in our cars and drive home. It's going to be, I should have asked this, I should have asked that. But boy, what an ambassador to the game of hockey, huh?
Yeah, and the university.
Well, you know, you talk about guys that getting to the next level or whatever, and you just don't fall into it. You got to work for it. You're intelligent. You're bright. You work hard. And the guests we've had on here, just amazing, great coaches. They know their stuff. I've been telling local coaches, high school guys, pay attention when these guys speak, because every time I've been up here, I've always pulled a little nugget away from something crazy good from them.
Yeah, and it's always amazing.
Undrafted.
Yep. And it's always amazing the humility that they have, you know, as well. I mean, just the most humble guys around, and I just love talking to him.
Exactly.
I've had several interactions with him over the years, and he's just a great guy.
You know, you look at what he did at practice every day, working his tail off. He was captain at North Dakota, captain with the Hartford Whalers, captain or assistant captain on every team he played for in the National Hockey League. You know, he hasn't been the general manager, though. I don't think he's the type that wants to be a general manager. He wants to be the leader. He wants to be on the ice. But, you're right, though. The Edmonton Oilers team this year,
that's his making.
That was his making. The only thing they didn't have was a goaltender.
Right.
That was it.
They had They had a couple, but they just weren't up to par. I'll tell you a little story. We were down in Arizona, and they were playing Dallas, and so we went to the game, and then we went down to the fan area after the game, and I had my daughters with me, and they both had Sioux jerseys on. And at that time, he was coaching Dallas, I believe. Because I think didn't he have a stint in Dallas?
Oh, yeah, 8 years.
And
7 years.
He walked right over to us because he saw the girls in their Sioux jerseys.
Nice.
And he just and he gave him the fist pump, and they said, "Hey, would you sign her?" He absolutely, you know, and he pulled out a Sharpie and signed it. I mean, right there, you just knew that
Class
genuine,
act.
just a genuine guy. genuine class act, absolutely.
You know, my takeaway was, he said, if I stayed juniors in Canada, I'm not making that leap. I'm not making it.
And I think he's right, and that's why I wanted to.
And
I wanted to
Dave
get
was
into
an
him.
older player too.
Yep. But that's the controversy I wanted to get into was the Tier 1 junior thing going on, and I don't see it's going to be a big deal because they're paying players now anyway. So why does it matter?
They're all pro,
exactly,
financially, right?
We're paying them more in college than they are in Tier 1. They're getting sticks and skates and some food money.
Yeah,
and that's bad.
I mean, what's the
remember
deal?
that was bad in the day, right?
Really
even
bad.
in college.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got meal money.
And they didn't want to talk about it. It was all under the table. You know, and, no, we're not giving them anything.
And I think that was the big issue.
Absolutely.
It was the big issue. You take that away, and all of a sudden it's all fair game. So it's a game changer. When are they voting on that? Every time I read it, it's got to be coming up quick to.
Well, I think it's still in litigation and everything, or it will be. I mean, I think the litigation will drag this thing on for a while.
But the NCAA, they've lost every bout, haven't they? Boy, they were the big dog. They ran everything. Everything ran through them. And now they're taking a backseat. Even like the British Columbia Hockey League, where they were part of Canada Hockey, right?
Right.
Now they're backed out of Canada Hockey. They register players under Canadian Hockey, but they have their own league. Right?
Right.
And they can play as many games they want. They can have any playoff format they want.
Well, that's a whole different deal with Hockey Canada, because
but that was a wake-up call for Hockey Canada.
Absolutely it was.
And then
wake-up call for
Alberta moves over.
Wake-up call for minor hockey in general.
100%.
And for a good thing.
I agree.
But I think the NCAA has just I do see, especially in football, you're going to have the Power Five, and they're just going to disband and go on our own. I mean, they'll make more money doing that, I think, than trying to hang on to be affiliated with the NCAA. That's just my
I'm really curious, Phil, to see what it does to college hockey.
Yeah,
because it hasn't had the stink factor as it has in football,
right?
Yet, right?
And
the question is it going to come as some big alumni out there going to go to those next first two draft picks in the National Hockey League and say, hey, I'll pay you $1 million each if you go to North Dakota, right?
Yeah. Here's just a thought, just because of Canadian, right? Is that going to hurt Canadian universities? Like it's gotten stronger. Like, I can't speak for everybody, but Lakehead University, Thunder Bay's gotten a lot stronger now. A lot stronger. They're doing really well. They compete, good players. Is that going to erode it, or is it irrelevant? Or
that's a whole different animal. When I was a fellow at Western in London, Ontario, I took care of the hockey team there, and it was like a Division II level. I mean, those were guys that were playing because they really wanted to play, not necessarily because they wanted to be there for other reasons. But so that's a different animal.
Service, contact Welton's